Yeah, it's kind of, well, it's not that strange a story. I was just like going down the rabbit hole of sort of Bitcoin and this new idea called value for value, which is basically the idea of putting your content out as either a podcaster or a musician or anyone really, putting your content out for free and just asking listeners to send some sort of value back. And in this case, the value is in the form of sats. So I first came across this idea, I think, listening to a podcast by a guy called Kevin Rook, and he was interviewing Oscar Merry from Fountain. And I think it was the first time like Oscar had been on a podcast talking about Fountain because I hadn't heard about it before. And I just thought, what a great idea. And then the first thing I thought was, well, this is for podcasting, but can this happen for music? And I looked around and I couldn't really find anything. So I thought, well, why can't I just, what's stopping me from uploading my music as a podcast episode? And then it will get picked up by Fountain and all other RSS apps, all other podcasting apps. And then people can send me sats. So that's what I did. Basically, I just made a podcast and put a song up as a podcast episode, just as a little hack, I guess.
I mean, it's a genius hack, dude.
And then Sam Means from Wavelake reached out to me shortly after and said, "Hi, I've seen you've done this, and we're actually building a similar platform, but that's music specific. Do you want to try it out?" So I said yes, and then like the rest is history. And then all my catalog went there. But that's the sort of brief story of how it happened. Um, but like the kind of the bigger backdrop behind it all is just like every other musician and songwriter, like I'm just extremely disillusioned with the way things have gone. How difficult it is for artists to get paid for their work, and how Spotify, Apple Music, and these big platforms have kind of cornered the market, and like the value isn't flowing from the listeners to the artists, and people feel like there's a bit of an injustice done there, with especially with how much time and effort and resources goes into making albums and stuff like that. So I just thought like there needs to be a better way. Uh, if an artist, if a fan, a listen, one of your top fans wants to send you, even if it's a couple of dollars or whatever, there should be an easy way to do it. So I think this is what people have been waiting for. But I mean, we're still so early, and there's still so many unknowns, and it's all quite technical and still a bit cumbersome. But it's getting better. It's getting better. So.
So you sort of had like a
Time.
long journey of like figuring out what Bitcoin was and why it works, just in general, like how it works. And then like you sort of had like a light
Yeah.
bulb moment when you like see these two things, music and Bitcoin, like bing bing bing, like was that sort of like like the lights went off,
Yeah.
like you won the jackpot, or like is that how it went?
Kind of. Well, it's like they say, don't they? Bitcoin fixes this, and it does. It is true of most things, and I think you can apply that to the music industry as well, because the way things are at the moment, I know so many artists are just like at the end of their tether with it all. Like I said, everything's become about live, and like selling merch and stuff like that, and more about the branding and stuff. And the music's kind of like it's weird. It's weirdly become a lost leader, or like an afterthought in a way, because the main revenue is coming from elsewhere, and it's putting pressure on like people having to get more and more gigs to keep up. And ever since COVID as well, like a lot of smaller venues are closing. They can't afford to stay open, and that's leaving a smaller pool of venues for the same amount of artists that are trying to fight for that space. So it's weird. It's weird times, but I think everyone's sort of desperate for an alternative or an answer, or maybe they don't know they're looking for a solution, but everyone knows the problem. I think that's the main thing. Everyone feels the pain points, and also like the whole thing of people making reels on TikTok or Instagram every day, because of the algorithms kind of rewarding them for feeding into that, and punishing people that don't engage in that, and it becomes kind of a weird thing that's going on, that's kind of sucking away everyone's creative energy and time, rather than focusing on writing the best songs possible.
How has your interaction with your audience changed while you use this new system?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of split into two at the moment. I've still got one foot in the legacy sort of like platforms, and then this other foot in the new value versus, as we call it. So they're definitely different kind of audiences, but I keep dropping hints and like dropping like bits of information over in the traditional platforms to be like, hey, like check me out on Noster, come to listen to me on Wavelake and stuff. Even if people can't at the moment send any value because they've no sats, but just to see it working really. But I guess when you say Nostr in Twitter or maybe Instagram, you get shadow banned. So I don't know if that's the best tactic or whether I should be doing it at live gigs. But yeah, I don't know. But like back to, I just want to touch on your point that you made before. Like well, I don't know if I coined this, but like this idea of sats over streams, like sats are far more valuable than the streams. Like you can have a million streams on Spotify, but like a lot of these streams as well, they can also come from like bot farms and things, and people can buy streams. And that's harder to do when like there's real world value attached in the form of sats, I guess. And like you said, when you attach a bit of economic value to a zap and you get sent sats, you can also, like you say, measure on a very granular um, scale, like how much that person values that specific song, as opposed to like that next person, as opposed to the next person, because you've got that like real insight with sats. Whereas like a like on Instagram, every like is the same, um, every share is the same. You know what I mean? So I think that's really interesting as well. But can you imagine how crazy it's going to be when Noster hits a certain amount of users and something goes viral on Noster and like the person makes, I don't know, say like $1 million. Could you imagine for like a song they put up or something? It could be,
I want that. I want that to
and
happen to
then
you. I want that to happen for
like,
me. Like that'd be
could you
amazing.
imagine when that happens and everyone else hears about it on all these other platforms? They'll be like, wait, what? Like that could possibly happen to me, sort of thing. I think that would like open the floodgates for people to come in. So
If you so pretend like I'm like an artist, right? You're Joe Martin, and you're pitching me this new system. Like, how would you describe this new system to an artist and why they should use it?
this new system enables a way for fans to pay you directly with no minimum or maximum amount. You will get to keep all the money. It will arrive instantly. And the content that you put out, you will actually own digitally. It won't be owned by the platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. It will be owned by you. You have a lot more assurances. And I don't know, it's just like, it's just makes the right incentives. You know, it aligns you with the right incentives, and it'll put you in touch with your fans in a way that you didn't think was possible, because now you can see exactly the amount of value that they're sending for your work, and you can also take that information and orient yourself towards it. You know.